Chapter 3. Where I Belong. As Jeffrey walked to the abandoned section of the library that was recently reopened, he went to the corner he had met the spirit and sat down, pulled his legs closer to his chest, and buried his face down. "You okay?" the spirit asked again. "Yeah," Jeffrey answered. "Want me to take you to the other side of the world?" the spirit asked. "No, I'm good," Jeffrey answered. "I have to face this," he said. "Attaboy," the spirit said. "Who are you talking to?" a girl's voice from behind him asked. "Huh?" Jeffrey said while looking up at her. "You're the girl from the first day." "Yeah, I'm glad you remembered me," she said, stretching out her hand for a handshake. Jeffrey took it and said, "My name is Jeffrey Fabouya." He noticed his eyes had been pouring this entire time and tried to clean it off with his sleeves. "Here you go," she said, handing him her handkerchief. "Thank you," Jeffrey said, taking it and cleaning his face. "Are you okay now? I heard you were ill," she said, sitting beside him. "Yeah, I was," Jeffrey answered. "Sorry about that," she said. "Thanks," Jeffrey answered, as the tears in his eyes dried up. They sat in awkward silence when the spirit said, "Get her." "Stop that," Jeffrey answered out loud and instinctively closed his mouth with his palm. "You're hiding something," Haley said, looking intently at him. Jeffrey just kept on shaking his head, afraid to say a word. The spirit had warned him about Mr. Malik. "Well, it doesn't matter. I came here for something else," she said, turning herself to face him directly. "You've caused me a lot of problems this last week," she said angrily. Jeffrey and the spirit were lost. How, they wondered. "The first day I came here, before even getting to know my girl mates, I spoke to you and they saw me, gold digging by rushing at the mighty Fabouya," she said with dramatic hand gestures. "So what I'm going to need you to do is to come to class 2 and say it out loud that me and you have nothing of the sort going on, and you're free and willing to date or not date, pending on your taste. Will you do it or not?" Haley asked. Jeffrey was amused by her confidence and the spirit by her free will. They immediately felt a tingle, but since it was from two souls at the same time, it was stronger. "You don't have to worry about that," Jeffrey replied. "My reputation should be in shambles by now. No one will care anymore. If you stay away from me, it will fade over time," he said. "Oh, and my assurance, because I don't want to do this again," Haley said, pointing at him. "I might as well tell you. You're going to hear about it when you get to class anyway," Jeffrey said, and sat up to face her as well. "My dad kissed my uncle's foot for me to get into this school." "Yeah, so what?" Haley asked. "No, not like that, like literal lips on his shoe." "The heavens!" she exclaimed. "That's terrible! Why he would do such a thing?" she asked. "How wouldn't he? He still believes himself inferior," Jeffrey said, with a little anger. "Hold up! How's this supposed to solve my situation? I hope you're not telling me to go spread this rumor," she asked. "No need. Erick should have spread it by now," Jeffrey said and leaned back on the shelves. "He did?" she asked. "He yelled it in class. You didn't hear it?" he asked back. "No, I came to the library to grab a book and never went back to class," Haley said. "I see," Jeffrey said. "Well, you know now, so don't bother your—" "What a selfish thing to do," Haley said. "And to think he wanted us to date. Now that will never happen," she said angrily. "No, wait, hold on. Erick is one of your suitors?" Jeffrey asked, realizing the gravity of what he had just done. "Yeah," she answered. "Well, my only suitor, to be honest," she said, playing with her fingers. "Please don't let this incident interfere with your decision," Jeffrey said, bowing his head. "What are you doing?" Haley asked, moving back. She was creeped out. "Please," Jeffrey asked, again, taking his head lower. "Stop, I've heard you," she said, tapping his back so he would stop it. "Thank you," Jeffrey said with a relieved smile on his face, and the bell rang. "It's time to go back to class," Jeffrey said, getting up. "I'll run ahead so people won't see us together again. See you around." "Well, maybe not," Jeffrey said, as he turned around and ran to class before she could utter another word. This was for the best, he thought. Haley sat there, remembering the kind smile that had appeared on his face when she had decided to forgive Erick. What a strange person, she thought to herself. Jeffrey walked into class, and even their teacher, Mr. Malik, laughed at him along with the entire class. They expected him to be sad, but the nice girl he had just met was all that was on his mind right now, and he was smiling without knowing it. That night, he walked calmly while in thought to his room. He didn't even notice the laughs and stares people were throwing him. His evening swim was glorious, so he had ordered some fruits to be brought to his room. He didn't want to eat dinner with the class. His heart wasn't ready to see her yet. When he got into his room, he changed into his night clothes and collected the fruits when they arrived and sat down on the floor. He picked a banana and munched it down, then closed his eyes and cleared his mind. "You love her, don't you?" the spirit asked, rattling him. "I knew you wouldn't stay quiet," Jeffrey said, opening his eyes. "But you do love her?" the spirit asked again. "Yeah, but not as far as love. Maybe a crush?" Jeffrey asked. "If you say so," the spirit answered. "Even if I like her, Erick was there first, and that would be unfair, right?" "The best man wins, right?" the spirit asked. "Yeah, that's the rule, but Erick will hate me even more," Jeffrey said. "Ha ha ha ha! That's why he's always winning. He doesn't care what you think of him," the spirit said. "I'm not like that," Jeffrey replied. "Well, that's your choice," the spirit said. "I'm going to sleep." "You like her, don't you?" Jeffrey asked with a sly smile. Don't be stupid," the spirit stuttered. "I just thought she was cute, that's all." "Ha ha ha! You love her," Jeffrey said, laughing. "I don't," the spirit said in frustration. Meanwhile, in the dining hall, Haley was looking for Jeffrey. She couldn't see well from far, so she walked over to his side of the hall, only to see Erick where she'd once met Jeffrey. "Hello, my princess," Erick said, trying to be romantic. "Hello, Erick," Haley said back. "Came to give me a reply," Erick said with a smile, which she ignored. "The cold shoulder, eh?" Erick said, circling around her. "I don't mind it," he said. "Where's Jeffrey?" she asked, and watched as pure rage grew on Erick's face. She enjoyed it. "What do you want to do with him?" Erick asked. "Oh, you haven't heard?" she said, playing with her hair. "He's a dear friend of mine." "Oh, I see," Erick said with disgust on his face. "Enjoy yourselves," he said, and turned around and left the dining hall. Jeffrey was in his room conversing courting points with the spirit when he heard a soft knock. He wondered if it was Haley and rushed to go answer the door. "Yes," he said, swinging the door open, only to get hit in the face with a punch. "Stay away from Haley!" Erick yelled at him and walked away. Jeffrey simply smiled. He was tired. Erick couldn't help it. Jeffrey was too proud, so proud that he had no pride at all. Even after all his father had achieved by scrapping around to get by in school, doing odd jobs and sacrificing all that honor while bearing all that shame, people still saw his junior brother as the hard worker. As someone who loved his family very much and was the next family head, Erick felt he needed to be the one to teach the naive Jeffrey how the world works. If not for that, why would he go to such lengths to punish his beloved cousin? Maybe jealousy? Jealousy, was it truly an emotion he had? Erick thought to himself. He had heard about Jeffrey Fabouya, his exceptional cousin who was running company branches at 9, and the only son of his uncle, Richard Fabouya, who he loved very much. So why were they fighting? It didn't matter anymore. He was simply playing his part. But now Jeffrey wanted to take the one thing he had finally gotten after all this years. His dream, his aim, and the reason he came to this school. Haley. As Erick walked into his room, his gang members, Mickey from the Vanillas, a family renowned for their sweets, James Ring, his family started off as ring makers, but now they were the best jewelry makers in the world. Japheth Scoff, the other hand, came from a German family that made weapons. They sold their weapons on an international scale. These three guys grew up with Erick. They all traded, so they had met and spent vacations together on many occasions, and now they were in the same school. Of course they would be friends. "Erick, you left the hall in a hurry. We thought you were coming straight to your room. Where did you go?" Mickey asked, as he struggled to get his sweet out its wrapper. "To punch Jeffrey?" Erick said, lying down on his bed. Mickey was sitting on the window, while James laid lifeless on the ground, and Japheth sat on the only chair in the room. "Ha ha ha ha, because he took Haley?" Mickey asked, as he struggled to get a sweet out of its wrapper. "You know I love that girl. I won't let him have her," Erick said with rage. "Whoa, you're actually pissed at him for a change," Japheth said. "He's trying me, I can see it," Erick said. "Maybe he's—" Japheth tried to say, but was interrupted by Erick. "No, he definitely knows. He's always been like that. When everyone was acting like a child, he was working." "Yeah, he's a monster, to be honest," James said, opening his eyes. "What does he even need school for?" Mickey asked, finally getting the sweet out and putting it in his mouth. "The rumor said he would be ready to take over the company or take a major role by next year, didn't it?" James asked. "Yes. He entered his first board meeting and contributed at the age of 10, Erick reminded them. "We didn't even know where children came from then, and he was already working with adults," James said. "Truly, what a monster," Mickey admitted. "You're quite courageous pissing someone like that off every day, Erick." "It's not courage," Erick said. "I was thinking on my way here. I think it's jealousy," he said. "Probably," Japheth added. "Who wouldn't be?" Haley heard about what Erick did to Jeffrey and came to greet him. She knocked on the door softly, but no one answered, so she kept knocking until he did. Jeffrey opened the door carefully, peeping through the crack. "Oh, it's you," Jeffrey said, when he saw her and opened the door fully. "Yeah, how are you doing?" she asked. "Good," Jeffrey answered, hiding his shadow in the room to hide his black eye, but she could still tell. "I came to say sorry about Erick, and, well, I heard he punched you, and I just had to," she said, playing with her fingers. "Don't worry about it. He came for something else," Jeffrey said, cutting her off. "Oh, he did?" she asked. "Yeah," he answered. "I see. Then I guess there's no need to apologize then," she said. "I guess so," he said back. And there was silence. "I was actually worried that maybe he had taken the room one from you as well," Haley said, pointing at the door number. "Oh no, he didn't. This room is at the extreme end, and he doesn't like it, I guess," Jeffrey said, leaning back a bit to hide his face more. "Cool," Haley said. "Well, good night then," she said, and turned around. "Good night to you too," Jeffrey said, as he slowly closed his room door. "What did he punch you for?" she said, asking him another question. "Huh?" he asked. "I mean, you said he wasn't here to complain about me, so I'm asking, what did he punch you for?" she said, slowing, coming close to his door. "What did he punch you for?" "He didn't punch me. It was about a container I lost at sea," Jeffrey replied fast. The spirit had given him the quickest lie he could come up with, and he just spat it out. "A container?" Haley asked. "Yes, a container," Jeffrey said with a serious expression which made her laugh. "Okay then, Mr. Container, I'll see you tomorrow," she said, turning around. "Tomorrow?" he asked. "Yeah, in the library at lunch. You'll come, right?" she asked. "Yeah, I'll be there," Jeffrey said. "Cool," Haley said with a smile and walked backwards slowly while trying hard not to blush. "Cool," Jeffrey said, also trying hard not to blush, when she vanished into the corner. He quickly closed his door and jumped around the room. She, on the other hand, peeped at the door again, and he decided to do so as well, and when he opened the door their eyes met, and they both hid. Jeffrey walked out of his room and walked to the corner, hoping to escort her to her room, but she wasn't there anymore. He rubbed his head and felt stupid and went back into his room. She had been hiding in another corner and giggled, watching his character conflict. The next morning, Jeffrey received a letter. His presence was requested at home immediately. The company just made over 50 new branches, and it was time to hire a new executive, and he was the next in line. Jeffrey laughed to himself as he packed his bags. If he refused to go home, which he could, Erick would be forced to take his place, and he knew that. He also knew that Erick wasn't ready to face that reality yet. They had promised to send books and tutors to homeschool him while he worked, so his education would not be affected. He left that morning before their first class, but not before leaving a letter with his senior, the librarian, for Haley Solstice. That was the end of his short, normal life, Jeffrey thought to himself as the carriage dragged him back home. When he got home, he got settled in and was called in to meet his uncle immediately so as to officially inaugurate him before the other executives, including his father. "Is this what you want?" the spirit asked him as the ceremony went on. "This is where I belong," Jeffrey said, tossing away all thoughts related to Haley.
You've just finished listening to a chapter of Noise Origin. This is Blank's Library, where every story reaches new heights. If you're ready to see how this journey ends, you can find the full book right now on Amazon Kindle. Make sure to follow and turn on notifications so you're here when the next chapter drops. Thanks for listening.